Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So let's say you want to write a book, or maybe you've written one before and maybe it wasn't the greatest experience, kind of new to you. How do you deal with the contents of that? How do you edit that? The page design of the book, all of that. You don't do it alone. That's how you do it. And let's talk to somebody who helps people all the time. She has a company called Hen House Publishing, and she's Karen Smith. Karen, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. I just learned over Mother's Day weekend I'm going to be a grandma.
Congratulations. Wow. What a weekend to learn.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
still kind of reeling from it.
Wow. Now, is this the first time?
It'll be our first grandchild,
Wow. What is this your son or daughter?
my son.
Wow. Was he waiting until Mother's Day weekend to share it?
Apparently so, because they found out the Tuesday before.
Okay.
They
Wow.
confirmed.
Well played. Out of all times. Well, congratulations. Maybe there's a book coming about that. Who knows? I don't know.
Not for me.
Uh, well, for anybody that doesn't have a baby on the way, but you want to have a book on the way, let's dig into that. And looking at it through the eyes of an author, what are your initial thoughts about that?
Okay. Well, I mean, when it's your first book, most people, you're focused on the story. You just want to get the story out and you want people to read it. And it's all this very big, mysterious process, and you don't really know what you're doing. So part of what I do is I try to educate authors as to not only what they're doing, but what they should be doing.
Hmm. Many of us don't even know what to do. We go online, we look at things. Maybe Amazon is the last stop because it's, publishing on demand. There's a lot that goes into it that I don't think many of us realize. Where do you think, Karen, people make their first or most often mistakes in publishing a book, or even just beginning to do it?
I think the biggest mistake is the do it all yourself mentality. You don't have to do it all yourself. You should not do it all yourself. I fell for that. I mean, I did that when I put out my first books. I thought, I'm self-published. I'm going to do this. I've got to do this all myself. And so I realized that, oh, well, I could hire out cover design, to someone who's better at that. But I didn't really think it through. And so what I try to do is to have people learn from my mistakes so they don't have to make those same mistakes.
I remember you saying that too a couple of times, that you don't do the page, the cover design. Just that's not your thing. You just don't.
I've had people call me an artist. I do paint. I'm not nowhere. I am nowhere near the level of Rembrandt or Renoir or any of the grandmasters. That's not me. Okay, I'm much more. I think one customer said delightfully juvenile. That's my style.
Maybe that's minimalistic. Put a fancy title on it.
I like to say I channel my inner Monet. I'm an impressionist. Regardless, there are a lot of different skill sets involved in producing a book, and the likelihood that any one person is competent in all those skill sets is pretty low. So graphic design is not one of my skill sets.
Gotcha. But you identify it, it, and then you move past it by calling on people that do that on a regular basis. However, there are things that you are very proficient in helping people in terms of the content, right? Well, why don't we start there? Let's say somebody is either has an idea for a book, maybe they've started writing a little bit about it. You can certainly direct them along the way there, right?
Sometimes. I don't hire myself out as a writing coach. That is a mentorship sort of position. And I guess I don't really understand what goes on in that sort of thing. It's bouncing back and forth, holding someone accountable. And I often have trouble doing something I have not experienced myself. So I never had someone to coach me through writing a book. I have no idea what would be expected in that. And I don't offer it because I have no experience whatsoever doing that sort of thing. I have experience writing books, but those were, writing the book, to my understanding, is pretty much a solitary endeavor. You sit down, you write the story. After you get to the end of that story and, you type the end at the end of your draft and you hoist a cold one in celebration, that's when the real work begins. Writing the story is the fun part.
Should somebody, before they dig deep into writing the story, or even having somebody else ghostwrite it, have a clear definition of where they're going?
It depends. If you're writing nonfiction, definitely you need to have an outline. You need to know where your book is going, what you're going to address in each chapter, and pretty much how you're going to do it. With fiction, you've got a lot more leeway. With fiction, you typically have two ends of the writing spectrum. You have what they call plotter, for people who plot everything out, and then you have pantser, who sort of do this by the seat of the pants. When it comes to writing my own stories, I am firmly in the pantser side. It's, I know that it's got to have a happily ever after, and after that, I got nothing. I just, I start and I let the characters take me where they want to go.
And that we're talking about, in this instance, we're talking about, this would be fictional stories, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you support both fiction and nonfiction?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I edit both. I've designed books for both. So, I do both. I do not handle academic work. The whole thing about making sure that the citations are correctly formatted to whatever style guide you're following, making sure that they're correct and that they refer to the correct documents, that just completely shuts my mind down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, it's, I have to also believe it's a big responsibility too, especially when you don't know about the content that we're talking about.
I've done work where I didn't really know much about the content, and that's where I guess there's a level of trust and the boundary issues come into play. When I am editing something, especially if it's nonfiction, I trust that the author is the subject matter expert. The author is not relying on me to verify whether something is true or accurate. Although when I do editing for magazines, the articles and things, then I do a little fact checking just to make sure these are, the things are verified. When it comes to fiction, I more or less rely on, the sniff test. I recently finished editing a manuscript, and the travel times were in this story, that there are some travel times. And it's like, can they really do this in an afternoon? So, went online, took a look. It's like, oh, well, the distance from city 1 to city 2 is 300 miles. And this takes place in the 1910s, 1910, 1920. Motor vehicles didn't go that fast. So it's like I said, it's kind of said that something smelled wrong on that. So I have to go in and do the research to verify it. But with regard to a lot of the nonfiction, I'm not the expert, the author is. My expertise is with the language. Is this the best way we can say something? Is it effective?
Does that come into play with content editing? Like, for example, let's say that story with the travel 300
Mhm.
miles in a day in 1910. Is that part of the editing process that you handle?
Yes.
Okay. Better you than me, because that would go right over my head. I wouldn't even, I wouldn't even
Yeah.
detect that.
Well, it's like I said, a lot of it's just sort of a little bit of experience. I've said it before, with the 30 plus years I've got behind me, I have learned a little bit about a lot of stuff. So I've got a pretty good, I've got a pretty good sniff test going on. It's pretty sensitive. And when something hits me, it's like, let's not rely on the gut. Let's go check it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Google is my friend.
And it's a horrible feeling too when the book is published and somebody calls you out on it, the publisher or the author, and says, "Dude, what are they doing? Time travel in 1910? How are you getting to point A to point B?" Kind of embarrassing. So you want to make sure that that stuff is locked down.
Right.
And you've said before many times that an author can't edit their own material.
Not well. Not well. I mean, an author should edit his own material just to make sure, that it's like, yes, is the story going the way you want it to go? But you don't rely on your own editing
Right.
because
Right.
you're too close to see your mistakes.
Would you say that's almost a product of, let's say, cleaning it up? The author going through, looking at their book and quote unquote cleaning it up a little bit, looking for a couple of things that maybe they fact check, but they're not going to potentially see everything, and that's where you come into play.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I write my own books, I'll get it down, I'll have my rough draft, and then I'll go through it. And what I advise other authors to do is, after you have that rough draft down, you set it aside for a little while. Let your mind relax,
Mm.
get it out of your brain, because your subconscious will be chewing on this. So just focus on some other stuff and come back to it when you can do so with a fresh, when your eyes are fresh. And then you start from the first page and you read through, and you have a pen and a notepad. And I mean a pen and a notepad, okay, by your side. We're going to do this old school.
Yep.
So as you're going through it, you'll be online, or on your computer, and you can correct the things you see, the small things, like, oops, I forgot to put a period here. Oh, I really need to make a new paragraph here. Let's revise this sentence to make it sound a little better. You do that when you're doing your self edit. But then when you come across the big stuff, like, oh no, how did I jump from this, from Janny and Steve are talking to the car crash between Sarah and Tom, and it's one of those things where that's where your notepad comes down, because you jot down these big flaws, these big gaping holes, so you can come back to it later. You can refer to it. It's like, oh, notice that, need to come back to it and fix it. So when you finish that, you've got your second draft done. Then you go back to the beginning and you work on fixing those big holes, those big problems. And then you've got your third draft done. And by that point, it should be ready for an editor.
Okay. How many drafts do you need to do?
As many as it takes.
Okay. So would you say that transitions are usually the biggest challenge that many authors have?
They can be really challenging. In a recent project, we had the character was doing something was said to have done something for several summers in a row, but there was no actual progression of that time in the story. So when something happened, you assume that she was still the same age.
Okay.
And it's like, this doesn't make sense. So yeah, the transition was needed to show that, yes, years have passed.
I wouldn't even know how to do that. And many who want to write a book might not have those skills either. They have maybe a great idea, great concept, but these little things are the things where we need an editor. Somebody, is that part of what the editing is?
Yes. Yes. Most people, when they think of editing, they think of someone who corrects the spelling errors, the punctuation errors, and the copy errors. Editing, and that is editing. That is part of editing. Editing covers a whole lot of stuff, from, how you use the words. Are you using the correct words? Is this the most effective way you can say something? To, hey, let's cut it down, you're too wordy. And to finding those inconsistencies and those discrepancies and those things that defy plausibility.
I would imagine too that would come under the category of character development.
Some of it, not all of it. So some of it goes into world building. Some of it just goes into the narration of the story.
What's the difference? I know that you do manuscript critique. What's the difference between editing and manuscript critiquing?
A manuscript critique is when different editors do it different ways. A manuscript critique is what I would call development editing on the light side. So what I do is I'll read through the manuscript. I don't mark it up at all. And I deliver a report. The report's in two parts. The first part is my overall impression of the story. I know what works, what doesn't work, and some consistently occurring problems with the manuscript. And it could be something as simple as, you really need to fix your apostrophes because you're misusing them. Or it could be something huge, like you've got some big plot holes. Then the second part is when I reference by manuscript page number, and I'll say, this is a particular issue that needs to be fixed. It may be Johnny's hair is brown on page 17, and suddenly on page 78 he's blonde. Could be something like that. But it's just, these are the things that, it's like, I need these need to be addressed before you really go any further.
Are you somebody that also does the same with nonfiction? Can you do the same exact thing?
Yeah, I've done that. I did a project that was about the Oswego County search and rescue team. And this was the search and rescue team that's back in the 70s that set the standard for search and rescue across the nation. And it happened after this little boy disappeared in the Adirondacks. He disappeared. They think he was probably they think he may have drowned in a bog, but no one was able to prove, for or against it. And so I went through this. It's very well written. Actually a rather engaging book. It was, surprisingly good to read as far as just reading is concerned. But there were a few small issues. It's like, this is out of sequence, or this really doesn't make sense. This probably could be explained a little better. So yeah, it works for nonfiction as well.
Okay. I guess it'd be which is more challenging for you to critique, if it's nonfiction, there's factual information there, or is it all kind of the same?
It depends on what the book is, what the topic is. If it's something, having to do with, say, metallurgy, I'm going to be completely at sea and I won't know. I won't know that, this metal maybe doesn't heat at that particular temperature, doesn't turn liquid or whatever. So it depends on the subject matter. I like doing manuscript critiques on fiction much more. It's just, it's something I'm more involved in the storytelling than I am in something that's geared to inform rather than entertain.
So we've got this all done. We've gone through the book. It's all set up there. I even clicked the link on your site to publish my book. What happens at that point?
Well, at the publish my book point, basically what it is you want someone to help you through the publishing process. So if you've written your book, you've self-edited it to the best of your ability. So you've refined your book to the best of your ability. You've had it professionally edited. You've had your book designed, and you have your cover designed, and the whole thing has been proofread, because a proofreader should get the whole shebang. You got your files, you're ready. I can help you. I can walk you through the upload process. So what we can do is, we do a Zoom just like, any other meeting, and we share the screen, and it's like, this is what we do. And someone might say, well, I don't understand the keywords. It's like, well, let's put in the keywords. We look for things that, what are the search terms that people are going to think of when they're looking for a book like yours? So just the various steps. Amazon makes it pretty simple. The Kindle Direct Publishing leads you through the process step by step.
But garbage in equals garbage out.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's probably not going to lead you through the steps of content editing and everything else that goes along with that. Yeah.
No. The Kindle Direct Publishing leads you through the steps of the publication process, not getting it ready for publication.
Will there ever, in your opinion, be an opportunity for AI to help with any of this? In my opinion, I don't think so. It can only go so far.
I think AI is on its way to doing it. People are already churning out books using generative AI. They're not good books.
Right. But it can't do all the stuff we're talking about. It can put words together, form thoughts. Is it going to do the deep fact check? Is it going to look for all the things that we're talking about?
I think you need a human for that. You really do. There are authors who rely on editing software to do all their editing. And I don't have any objection to authors using editing software. I mean, you've got Grammarly's the 800-pound gorilla of this, but you've got ProWriting Aid, AutoCrit, Perfectit, and Hemingway are just a few more. And they're pretty robust. They do help. But oftentimes what editing software does is it introduces as many errors as it corrects, because software knows rules. It does not understand context or nuance. That's what you need the human for.
And that's you. How do we find you?
You find me at henhousepublishing.com, or you could even contact me directly at henhousepublishing@gmail.com.
And hen really is hen, like H-E-N.
Yep, like a chicken.
Great talking with you. Always learn so much. One day I'm going to write a book. This is inspirational. And I know lots of even professional people that are considering writing a book because it just ups your credibility. It's even if you're a surgeon. Have you read my book about, what I do? Even I know a cosmetic surgeon who wrote a book, and it's all about the excitement behind the book, where get your free sample of the book, learn about, surgical cosmetic techniques that can help you out. Yeah. a lot of great pluses for writing a book. And you're right there. Thanks for being with us today.
Well, thank you again. I do appreciate it.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.